Everyone dreams about the day we finally find aliens. We imagine it as this groundbreaking, history-changing moment, proof we're not alone. But what if I told you that the discovery we've been waiting for could actually be the worst news in human history? That's the paradox no one's ready to face. The very thing we crave might be the very thing that dooms us. See, the silence of the universe isn't comforting, it's suspicious. Billions of planets, billions of chances for life, and yet nothing. No signals, no civilizations, no signs of neighbors. And here's the horrifying twist. The more likely life is to exist out there, the more likely we're running straight toward a cosmic death trap. It's not just unsettling, it's terrifying. So buckle up, because in this video we're diving into a mystery that could redefine everything we think about our future. Why haven't we found aliens yet? And why could finding them be the scariest headline you'll ever read? The hypothetical discovery. Imagine this. NASA holds a press conference and announces the unthinkable. They've found bacteria on Mars, alien fish swimming in the salty oceans of Europa, and even ruins of an ancient civilization on Titan. Sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, right? The headlines would explode, documentaries would flood Netflix, and people everywhere would say, "We're not alone." But here's the twist. What if this discovery isn't a reason to celebrate, but to panic? Think about it. The biggest scientific breakthrough of all time could also be the darkest omen humanity has ever faced. It wouldn't just be shocking. It could be devastating, almost like a death sentence. That sounds dramatic, sure, but history teaches us that not every discovery is good news. Fire, for example, was amazing for cooking and warmth until people started using it to burn down villages. The question here is, why would this discovery, the hypothetical discovery, carry such terrifying consequences? Here's where things get even more intriguing. If alien life exists out there, and it's complex enough to swim, crawl, or even build, it means the odds of life popping up aren't as small as we once thought. And if life isn't that rare, well, then something else must be stopping it from reaching the stars. That thought alone opens the door to an unsettling idea, a staircase every civilization must climb, one step at a time. And the real danger? It's hidden somewhere along that climb. The staircase of life. Picture life as a giant staircase, where each step represents a nearly impossible achievement. The first step? Dead chemistry somehow organizing into self-replicating molecules. That's like dust suddenly deciding to build Legos by itself. Almost absurd, yet it happened. These tiny pioneers had to be stable enough to survive, but flexible enough to evolve. Without that, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. From there, the climb gets steeper. Life had to figure out how to become more complex, building better structures, and learning how to use energy more efficiently. Imagine upgrading from a flip phone to the latest smartphone overnight. That's the level of leap we're talking about. And once that happened, single cells began joining forces, forming multicellular organisms. This teamwork unlocked a breathtaking variety of life forms, from simple worms to giant trees. But the staircase doesn't stop there. Eventually, some species develop larger brains, which open the door to tools, culture, and shared knowledge. Think of it as going from throwing rocks to building spaceships, one step at a time. These brains allowed creatures to dominate their planets, bend environments to their will, and slowly reach the point where timid attempts to leave their homeworld became possible. And guess what? That's exactly where we humans find ourselves now, standing on the edge of the next big step, the next logical steps. It's in the very nature of life to expand, to push boundaries, and to fill every empty niche it can find. Just look at Earth. From the hottest deserts to the coldest oceans, something always finds a way to survive. So when a planet starts running out of space or resources, survival instincts kick in, and the obvious move is to look outward. For us, that means beyond Earth's atmosphere. The first of these next steps seems almost obvious: colonizing our own solar system. Imagine humans mining asteroids for resources, building cities under Mars' red skies, or setting up floating stations in Venus' atmosphere. Sounds like science fiction, right? But so did smartphones 100 years ago. And now we can't live without them. What looks impossible today often turns into tomorrow's normal. And of course, the journey wouldn't stop there. Once a species learns to hop between planets, the next logical leap is toward the stars, traveling beyond our sun, spreading across the galaxy, and maybe, just maybe, building a civilization so advanced it becomes galactic in scale. The crazy part? If this is the natural path of life everywhere, then where is everybody else? That question leads us straight into one of the biggest mysteries of all, the paradox. Here's where things get weird. Our galaxy alone, the Milky Way, holds more than 500 billion planets, with at least 10 billion similar to Earth. And many of these worlds are way older than our planet, meaning they had a massive head start. If civilizations naturally expand the way we think they should, then we ought to see at least something out there. Cities glowing on distant planets, gigantic machines orbiting suns, or signals reaching our telescopes. But when we look up, space is silent. Dead silent. No starships, no alien radio chatter, no megastructures blotting out starlight. It feels like walking into a huge stadium that should be packed with fans, but instead, it's completely empty. And that silence isn't just unsettling, it's terrifying. Because silence in this case doesn't mean nothing's happening. It might mean something's preventing it from happening. This puzzle is famously called the paradox. On one hand, math screams that intelligent life should be out there everywhere. On the other hand, reality shows us nothing. So what's stopping civilizations from reaching out across the galaxy? Well, that question forces us to face a chilling possibility. Maybe there's an invisible barrier, a kind of cosmic roadblock, standing in everyone's way. And that brings us face to face with the unsettling idea of the Great Filter. The Great Filter. This eerie silence points to one conclusion: something stopping civilizations from climbing the full staircase of life. That something has a name, the Great Filter. Think of it as a cosmic roadblock, an almost impossible challenge or catastrophe that wipes out nearly every attempt at reaching galactic scale. It's like the universe saying, "Nice try, but you're not going any further." Now here's the kicker. The Great Filter could be behind us, or it could still be ahead of us. If it's behind us, that means we've already overcome the hardest part. Maybe the leap from dead chemistry to living cells. If that's the case, we're special, incredibly rare, maybe even one of a kind. But if it's ahead of us, then history may be littered with civilizations that started strong, but vanished before ever reaching the stars. Imagine billions of alien worlds where life bloomed, only to hit the same deadly wall over and over again. Civilizations building their first rockets, sending their first signals, maybe even dreaming about colonizing the stars, and then silence. Total wipeout. The question that keeps scientists awake at night isn't just what the Great Filter is, but whether humanity has already passed it, or is running straight toward it without even realizing. The filter behind us. If the filter behind us is real, then we're not just lucky, we're unbelievably special. It would mean that somewhere along the staircase of life, we've already passed through a step so difficult that almost no other world managed to climb it. Maybe life itself is a cosmic miracle, so rare that the universe might be full of planets, but almost all of them are lifeless rocks. Another possibility is that the leap to complex animal cells, born from a once-in-history symbiosis, is the true filter. Picture primitive cells swallowing each other, and instead of destroying, they joined forces. That bizarre accident created the powerhouse cells that make up every animal alive today. If that event happened only once in billions of planets, then no wonder we feel so alone. And let's not forget intelligence itself. Big brains sound impressive, but they're fragile, energy-hungry, and don't guarantee survival. A bear doesn't care how many books you've read if it's charging at you. Humanity needed 200,000 years to move from sharp sticks to smartphones, and even then, survival was never certain. If intelligence really is the rarest filter, then most planets may be stuck with bacteria forever, while we got just lucky enough to roll the evolutionary jackpot. The filter ahead of us. If the filter ahead of us is the real deal, then the story gets a lot scarier. That would mean countless civilizations reached a stage similar to ours, building rockets, sending signals, maybe even dreaming of colonizing the stars, but then they all hit the same invisible wall. Something so destructive, so absolute, that it erased them before they had a chance to spread. And if that's true, our future doesn't look too bright. Think about the possibilities. A full-scale nuclear war, wiping out everything in weeks. Nanotechnology gone rogue, turning the planet into gray goo. Genetic engineering spawning a supermicrobe that spirals out of control. Or experiments so careless they accidentally ignite the atmosphere. And then there's the wild card, artificial intelligence, a tool that could either save humanity or destroy it in the blink of an eye. But the scariest thought of all might be the simplest. Civilizations might always end up destroying their own homes, competing for resources, changing their planet's atmosphere, or triggering chain reactions in ecosystems they can't fix. If that's the case, then reaching this stage of power is a curse in disguise. Because once you can reshape a planet, you can also doom it. And maybe that's why the stars remain so heartbreakingly silent. Why finding life would be bad news. At first glance, discovering alien life sounds like the ultimate dream. People imagine shaking hands with little green men, trading stories across galaxies, or at least finding some cosmic cousins splashing around in Europa's oceans. But here's the hard truth. Why finding life would be bad news is tied directly to the Great Filter. The more common life is, the scarier the implication, because it means the filter isn't behind us. It's still waiting ahead. Think about it step by step. If we find nothing but dead worlds, maybe life is extremely rare, and we already passed the impossible stage. That would be a relief. But if we find bacteria on Mars, that's already a bad sign. It suggests life sprouts easily, meaning the filter must come later. Now, if we ever discover animals swimming on Europa, that's even worse. It would mean complex life is common, and yet, still no civilizations. The nightmare scenario? Stumbling upon intelligent life, or even ruins of a once thriving alien civilization. That would scream that life often gets as far as we have, but then crashes into something catastrophic. It's like walking through a field full of abandoned campsites. Fires once burned, tents once stood, but now it's all ashes and silence. And if others already fell, what makes us think we're the exception? Maybe we're just next in line. The best-case scenario. Paradoxically, the best-case scenario for humanity might be the loneliest one. It would mean Mars is sterile, Europa's oceans are lifeless, and every corner of the Milky Way is filled with nothing but dead, empty planets. Strange as it sounds, that emptiness would be a blessing in disguise. Because the rarer life is, the greater the chance that we've already beaten the Great Filter. In this version of reality, the universe becomes a giant treasure chest just waiting to be opened. Billions of untouched worlds could one day become humanity's playground, or better yet, our new homes. Imagine standing on the surface of a planet where no living thing has ever walked, knowing your footprints are the very first. It's both eerie and empowering, like inheriting an entire galaxy with no competition. Sure, it sounds a little cold to wish for cosmic loneliness, but think about the alternative. If we stumble upon alien bacteria, animals, or ruins, it likely means the hardest challenges are still ahead of us. Silence, on the other hand, gives us hope. It means the universe might not be warning us of doom, but instead leaving the doors wide open, waiting for us to walk through. And maybe, just maybe, that's the best shot humanity will ever have. So now the question is, what do you think humanity's future looks like? Do you believe the Great Filter is already behind us, making us one of the rarest miracles in the universe? Or do you think it's still waiting ahead, like a cosmic trap we can't avoid? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear your take on this. And more than that, what would you do differently if you truly believed the future of our species could hang in the balance? Would you push harder for science, space exploration, or protecting our planet from ourselves? Remember, Knowledge isn't just power, it's survival. So think about the choices we're making today, because they might decide if we ever reach the stars. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the scariest mysteries of the universe, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell. That way, you'll never miss the next mind-blowing question that could change how you see the world and maybe even your place in it.